Hey guys, Squeaky here, welcome to a new Call of Duty video. In this video, we're going to touch on the latest game mode that has come to Call of Duty Warzone, which is Lockdown Casuals. And it's the most fun I've had in Warzone ever since it came out, and I just cannot stop playing it. Now, before I start, I want to make it very clear. I'm no Warzone pro. I'm not any top 5, top 1% kind of Warzone player. I'm just a very casual player in Warzone, and it's nothing like multiplayer because when it comes to multiplayer, I am pretty competitive, but when it comes to Warzone, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I mainly just play it for the fun of it. So you can take my perspective with a grain of salt if you don't really like trusting people who aren't too good at Warzone, but nevertheless, I had a ton of fun in this mode, which I'll explain how it works. So first of all, this is a 6-squad free-for-all. There are 3 player-controlled squads and 3 AI squads, and this is very reminiscent of Caldera Clash from Vanguard because it takes place on a certain section of the Warzone map being Drone Labs, and you spawn with a custom loadout, respawns are enabled, and this is a mix of hardpoint, domination, and drop zones from the main Call of Duty games because the points do rotate. There are 3 of them to capture, a 4th one will be there as a bonus occasionally, and lastly, you get kill streaks every time you respawn, so it's something like drop zone because that mode has a lot of kill streaks. And this takes place at the latest POI that has been added to the game, which is Drone Labs. And because of this, drones are constantly dropping off crates full of bonuses. You can get things like satchels for armor, self-revive kits, and specialist packs if you're really lucky. So all things said, it's pretty fun. And the last thing I want to note is that every time you spawn in, you will get a random kill streak, which could be good, could be bad, which I'll get into later. But this also contributes to something I don't really like in this mode, which I'll get to later. But all things said, I will say this mode is super fun. But those are the likes out of the way and how the mode generally works. I just want to touch on things that I don't really like about this mode. I'm not saying I don't like lockdown casuals. I just think that if these were improved a bit or reworked, I would say I would have more fun in this mode. And just because this dislike section is going to be much longer than the like section doesn't mean I dislike the mode. It just takes more time to explain why I don't like something versus listing out things I like. Now, starting off with my first dislike, and that's kill streak imbalance. Because in this mode, the kill streaks you get are the Deadeye Drone, RCXD, War Machine, Death Machine, Hand Cannon, Smoke Screen, Napalm Strike, HKDs, and Juggernaut Suit. Going kill streak by kill streak, starting with the Deadeye Drone, the Deadeye Drone is probably the worst kill streak you can get in this mode. First of all, most people are going to have 3 armor plates, and if you face against someone with 3 armor plates, the Deadeye Drone takes about 3 shots to down an opponent, and that is really, really bad because each shot fires very slowly, the bullet velocity is not very good, and you get limited shots of this, even less than the hand cannon. So, all things said, I will say the Deadeye Drone really, really needs some love. If anything, I would say it should one-shot people who are fully armored just like it does in multiplayer. And at that point, maybe it would serve some purpose besides being useless like it is now. Because whenever I get Deadeye Drone, I just get frustrated and just want anything else. So if they could just make it one-shot people all the time, I would say it doesn't make it overpowered because you get limited shots with it and the bullet velocity is pretty slow, and it also takes very little effort to shoot one down. So as I said, if they could just make it one shot even if you have full armor, that would make it useful to some degree. Now moving on, we have the RCXD. And the RCXD is just like it is in multiplayer. It grants you one easy kill because you're controlling basically a remote bomb on wheels. So just like the bomb drone and the RCXD from the multiplayer games, it's fine as is. I will say it can be a bit annoying to die to one, but it also can down you even if you have full armor. So it's very powerful, but then again, it only works once. And if you have a self-revive kit, you could easily just revive yourself and run away. So all things said, I would say I'll leave the RCXD as is. It's fine. Moving on, we have the first of the 3 handheld kill streaks, the War Machine. And unlike the War Machine in Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 multiplayer, this one is a bit weaker. And the reason why is because if you shoot one burst of the War Machine in Black Ops 6 or Black Ops 7, you'll notice that it shoots a quick burst of 3 grenades. In Warzone, however, it shoots much slower because there is a delay between each of the grenades in each individual burst, so you cannot just down somebody. You have to have sustained accuracy on your target if you're going to down them. Nevertheless, it's very good because you get 10 bursts, and with each burst, you can down an opponent and just run up to them and finish them off either with a melee kill or with your gun. So, all things said, it's pretty good, and plus, it doesn't need total accuracy to excel. You can just shoot it in the general direction of your opponent, and if two grenades make contact, they're down, even if at full armor. So, all things said, I would leave the War Machine as is. It's fine. But moving on, we have the Death Machine, and the Death Machine is probably the worst of these three handheld kill streaks because it just doesn't do enough damage to justify its purpose as a kill streak. As of now, I would rather have my current gun, which is my M15 Mod 0 in my hands, rather than the Death Machine because, well, yes, the Death Machine does have a tightened hipfire, so I could be a bit inaccurate with it as opposed to landing my crosshairs on target with my M15. This gun just doesn't do enough damage to justify its purpose as a kill streak. So, if anything, the damage on this thing should be doubled, so this thing has half the time to kill it does now, and at that point, it would justify its purpose as a kill streak and its clunkiness because when you carry this, your mobility just goes down the drain. So, if they could just address that, I would say the Death Machine would be of use then. And finally, the last of the three handheld kill streaks is the hand cannon. And the hand cannon, I would say it's fine as it is because right now all it does is a 3-shot kill. One to break off armor, one shot to down the opponent, and one to kill them. So all things, I would say it's pretty balanced, but the only downside to the hand cannon is that you have to be very precise. If you aren't very good with your aim, this kill streak likely isn't for you. But if you can get your shots on target, this thing is very deadly. But the only downside I would say with the hand cannon is that it has very limited ammo at 10 shots. And if you're looking at one shot to break armor, one shot to down an opponent, and one to kill them, you can kill at most 3 opponents with the hand cannon. Or it could be a bit more if you were to just use it to break armor and down the opponent and finish them off with your gun. You could get 5 kills in that regard, but still, it's pretty low. So the only change I would love to see to the hand cannon is increase its ammo from 10 to 15 shots. At that point, it would serve more of a purpose because you can get more kills even if you're missing your shots. So even if they don't go through and make this change, I would say the hand cannon is fine as is because it's very powerful. Moving on, the next streak I want to talk about is the smoke screen. And the smoke screen, I would say, is pretty useless. All it does is obscure your opponent's vision, and it's useful for capturing points, but then again, it doesn't get any kills. So as a kill streak, I would say it's pretty useless. And the only change I would love to see to the smoke screen is just swap it out for the LDBR. I mean, it even shares the same icon as the LDBR. So if you were to switch it to the LDBR, it would serve more of a purpose because it would serve as an area of denial tool rather than something to just obscure your opponent's vision. And also, if you play on console like I do, you won't get any aim assist through the smoke screen. So it's a bit annoying when you have to engage an opponent and there's smoke around because it can screw with your aim assist, even if the smoke isn't directly on your opponent, because as long as it's behind your opponent just by a few meters, your aim assist is just not going to work. So I would love to see them just swap it out for the LDBR, and it would serve more purpose then. And the next streak I want to touch on is the Napalm Strike, and I think it's fine as is. The Napalm Strike is very deadly, and while it does give your opponent a warning if you deploy and an opponent is in its line of fire, it comes in very quickly and can easily down an opponent in one shot even if they have full armor. So all things said, I would say the Napalm Strike is pretty fair, and it can also be a bit deadly to you if you don't take cover in the drone labs. I mean, if you deploy at the points that are in the training houses made of plywood north of the drone labs, you're going to go down if you take cover there, because I went down when I took cover there to my own Napalm Strike. So it's very powerful. Just be sure to get out of its way when you call one in. And the next streak I want to touch on are the HKDs. And the HKDs are, of course, like the attack dogs in past Call of Duty games like Vanguard. And these come from the sky and they hunt and kill opponents and explode on impact. And I would say the HKDs are a bit hit or miss and could do with a bit of love. What I would do with the HKDs is either deploy more HKD pods or give them a longer time to find and seek out an enemy before exploding, because I believe if they don't find an opponent within 30 seconds, they simply just explode. So as a result, I would say it's pretty weak in that regard, because sometimes I deploy my HKs on the roof of drone labs and the opponents are on the ground floor, and because the HKs expire, it just doesn't get any kills. So I would love to see either more HKDs so there's more opportunities to get kills, or just let the existing HKDs last longer and they would serve much more of a purpose then, instead of being something that's pretty hit or miss. And the final streak that I want to talk about is the Juggernaut suit, and I haven't been able to get this one personally. I have faced off against people using the Juggernaut suit, and I will say it's what a Juggernaut suit should be. It allows you to take a ton of damage, but ruins your mobility. So when it comes to repositioning, you're at a huge disadvantage versus everybody else. So all things said, and how rare this Juggernaut suit is as well, I would say it's fine just as is. So with that, that is kill streak imbalance out of the way. The next thing I want to see I dislike about this mode is that there is no option to discard streaks if you get one you don't like the Deadeye drone. When I get the Deadeye drone, at least I can deploy it, cancel it, and that's the Deadeye drone out of my inventory. But if I get something like the Death Machine, which is also not very good, I have to shoot off 200 bullets of it to discard it, versus just having to re-roll it like I can re-roll a care package. So I would love to see an option like, instead of deploying your kill streak with the right on the D-pad, holding right on the D-pad should discard that streak, so you have to wait the 1 minute to get a new kill streak. So that way you cannot just abuse it to constantly get napalm strikes, napalm strikes, napalm strikes. So it's fair, I would say, you could just discard a kill streak. And the next thing I would say I dislike is the frequency of getting kill streaks, because right now, when you first spawn in and every time you respawn after you die, you get a random kill streak. So kill streaks are basically all over the place. And it gets a bit annoying sometimes, because when everyone you face off has a war machine, it just gets pretty annoying. I believe that if you only allow people get kill streaks maybe every 1 minute or 2 minutes opposed to every time they die, it would make the kill streak spam much more tolerable, and at that point I don't think I would complain. But at this point, with you getting a kill streak every time you respawn, it gets a bit overwhelming, especially if people get lucky and get napalm strikes and just constantly keep calling them in all over the place. It really gets annoying. The next thing I want to talk about that I don't really like is the so-called kill streak Wheel of Fortune, because when you come in after dying and you get your kill streak, it just does that little animation where it just spins and shows what kill streak you're going to get. If that animation could be sped up a bit, I would appreciate it, because right now it just feels a bit too slow. And I do appreciate that this sort of combats the kill streak spam a bit, but when it comes to using it in a stress situation like just dropping in and you want to deploy a kill streak right away, you have to wait for the animation to go away, especially if you're landing on a point and there are people shooting at you actively. It can possibly get you down and you might even lose your kill streak. So all things said, I would love to see them speed up this animation a bit, but then again also only allow people to get kill streaks every 1 or 2 minutes, as opposed to letting people constantly get kill streaks every time they respawn. And the next thing I want to say I dislike about this mode are teammates who don't capture the points or just wait for a revive. First of all, when it comes to this mode, there are no track stats, so you don't need to worry about dying over and over again, ruining your KD. So when it comes to playing the objective, I don't see any reason to not play objectives aside from trying to get high kill gameplays, which I do see some people trying to do. But then again, it gets pretty annoying because you're basically forcing other players to risk their lives on the point, even if it's not very safe. They just have to go for it, as opposed to storming each point as a team and capturing as a team, which is how this mode is supposed to be played. And the other thing I don't like about teammates are those teammates who wait for revive. This mode has respawns enabled, so if you get down, just kill yourself and get back into the action with a respawn. If you wait for a revive, you're basically putting your teammates in danger, because they have to revive you And with kill streaks all over the place and people respawning left and right, it's very dangerous to revive someone, even more dangerous than Battle Royale. So when it comes to this, I will say if you get knocked down and you don't have a self-revive kit, just click the button to die and respawn. That way you're not a waste of space on your team, because if you're sitting there waiting for revive, you're not doing anything. Whereas if you get yourself killed and come back from the sky, you're back in the action with your gun up, so you can at least do something to help your team capture the points. And with that leads me to the final thing that I don't like about this mode, which is that the points don't rotate every minute. Because if anything, I would say the 3 points they have to capture should rotate every minute, because it's a 15-minute game and it should rotate to each side of the map and just randomize, as opposed to these certain presets that these capture points will rotate to. Like, for example, when you spawn, sometimes A could be in the drone lab and B and C are in the training area, or sometimes C will be at the fountain, B will be in the drone lab, and A will be in the car park. It's always these presets that get a bit boring, and if it could randomize it, like one's in one building the drone labs, one's in the car park, and one's at the training facility, it would freshen up the game much more versus anticipating which points are at. Because as of now, the presets get a bit boring, and you just know that when one, for example, point A is at the car park, you know that the second one's in the drone lab, second floor, and the third one is at the fountain. So if they could let the points just be random every single time, it would add to the craziness of the mode and also promote people running around as opposed to guarding an area for like 3 minutes, which can get pretty boring, especially if nobody comes around to get killed by you. So all things said, that wraps up my thoughts and what I have to say about Lockdown Casuals. All things said, I would say it's a pretty fun mode and a nice twist on what Warzone can be besides being a battle royale game. And I would love to see modes like this continue to stay in Warzone, because it's really fun to play, and I'm not much of a battle royale player myself, but when it comes to Lockdown, it gives me something to do and it's pretty fun all around. Despite the things I dislike about this mode, I will say the mode's pretty fun all around. So if you haven't given it a shot yet, I would highly advise you to go ahead, give this mode a try, and you are going to love it. And with that said, that wraps up my video talking about Lockdown Casuals. If you like this kind of videos or it has been informative to you, do consider leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing to my channel, because all of these things really help me out. With that all said and done, thank you so much for watching. Take very good care of yourselves, and I will see you in my next video.